This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is where you can get all of your latest political news, and this is Carol Parisi. Today our founder, Jack Roeser, and myself have the Tea Party, the very first Tea Party candidate ever elected, Congressman Joe Walsh.
Great to be with you.
Welcome, Congressman Walsh. It's great to have you here today.
Carol, it's great to be here. Jack, always great to be with you. It's never a dull affair.
And all you folks out there, you're getting a special treat because these two have a political relationship that everybody should understand, because what they did with Joe personally and what the meaning is that they has for the entire nation is very, very important. This is Joe Walsh, and I caught on to him myself early on in his campaign, and I know a lot about how he got elected and the things that he had to overcome to do it. A most extraordinary election that has huge meaning. And this lady developed so much leadership in getting herself and many other Tea Party people into the streets. They became streetwalkers, but in a better sense. They did the job, because Joe got elected with spending about 1/5 as much as his three-term opponent that had easily beat 3 other Republicans. And Joe had no help from the national. There was so many people thought you couldn't be elected, and none from the state. It was a Tea Party victory, and it shares some of that same mystique with the other 4 guys, especially the other 3 that were also elected with tremendous help from the Tea Party. There are lessons to be drawn from the way you got elected and how your forces were put out there. I'd make a generalization that you can be elected with the Tea Party's help at about 1/3 or 1/2 the cost of doing it without them. And the Tea Party was an army for you, and it's going to be an army for the state of Illinois to bring back the Senate and the House to Republicans. Because there's one thing we got to stick in our heads and not forget. The Democrats in Illinois own the fact that this is a most corrupt state, and it is the most damaged state financially of all of the 50, or no, Obama says 57.
57.
He's added 7 Arab states or something.
Oh.
But what's happened here, there's a big lesson, and we should get off into it. But Carol Ann Parisi, when I tried to analyze how Joe got elected, and I asked around about a lot of people, including you, and I think your words were very important. And you said the reason Joe won was because of his leadership. And I was, before then, talking about your leadership, where you got hundreds of people to walk the thing yourself. And there were other leaders just like you in the 8th District. And it all added up, not to mother, but to victory. And it was done. Joe, you provided leadership. And I've seen you on the trail going to, what do you call them, those visits you make on the trail?
Town halls.
Yeah,
Town halls.
Town hall meetings. I've seen you there take every question from everybody. You don't bob and weave. You lay it out the way you see it. And it's really well received. I've seen you in places where part of the audience was probably contrived to throw hard questions at you. You're clear in your mind about what America really needs now. And I've run on here because you two have an association from before. I live in the 8th, so I knew a lot of this, and I bragged that I was one of your early supporters as well.
You were.
And because I saw what the Tea Party was doing in other things, and as it was growing in power. But leadership is a strong thing. And we've just gone through an election for governor here in Illinois, where unfortunately the candidate of the Republican Party was given a rule to not say anything that had an edge on it where the Democrats could pick on it. They went into a prevent defense thinking they could waltz in. They were wrong. We got beat. You are at the other end of the poll, that you gave every reason why you knew what you were doing. You gave the people reason to vote for Joe Walsh.
Well,
Representative, thank you.
Oh, Jack, thank you. And thank you for your early support. I said during the campaign, and I've said often since I've been elected, it drives my staff crazy, but I don't care about my next election. I'm in Washington to do what I think is right.
We do.
That's what I was going to say that.
But that's a dangerous attitude to have in D.C. So many politicians, all they care about
We
is...
aren't willing to sell your soul, but you aren't going to sell out your country. You're needed.
We've got to make some tough decisions. And if that means I have to make tough votes and it angers people back home and they send me back home, so be it. I'll be able to sleep at night. Our country's broke. Look, when the president got elected 3 years ago, it woke up this country.
Joe, there's a lot of difference between broke and broken.
Well, we're both.
It's financially
We're both.
broke.
We're both. We're
Well,
both.
I think there's still a powerful mainspring here in America. I don't think the mainspring's broken.
No.
We're still America.
But respectfully, this president is doing what he can to suffocate that mainspring.
Indeed he is.
The beauty of this country, the innovative aspect of this country is dying right now because this president is regulating it and taxing it to death. Look, he got elected, and Americans, Carol Ann knows, a lot of people like Carol Ann got up off their backsides and said, time out, something's wrong. The movement started way before Joe Walsh decided to run.
The movement started under President George W. Bush with that original TARP. When that original TARP, when we started bailing out the auto industry and all of those things, people were like, what's going on?
Yeah.
That is when the movement actually started. But I find it interesting that someone like yourself, who I heard, and you could verify this for me, Congressman Walsh.
I probably said it.
You carry a Constitution with you.
Yes.
In fact, you said when you met your wife, you had a Constitution with you.
She tells that story, yes. And that's what this movement is based on.
But that's intrinsic, and I think clearly, exactly, that is what this movement is based on, is that we've gotten so far away from this old document.
The very first speech I gave in that campaign, I said, my name is Joe Walsh. I feel like I'm losing my country. I'm angry at both parties for bankrupting future generations. And the crowd went crazy, and a man became part of a movement because you and all of us felt the same way.
Well, and here is, I just happen to have this really,
oh my gosh.
I feel like I'm losing my country.
That was it. It wasn't anything fancier than that.
But I think that is exactly under TARP, under TALF, under bailing out GM and AIG. I think those words, many of the grassroots, many of the people that supported you or are supporting this movement had the same feeling, and that's the message.
Well, they do. And then to Jack's point, I was probably one of the few candidates last year or 2 years ago that hit both parties over the head for what they'd done. As a Republican, as a lifelong Republican. And that's something people hadn't heard in a while. This wasn't just a Democratic thing. I mean, look, Barack Obama has taken it and spent money at a rate we've never seen before. But you rightly point out, George W. Bush spent too much money as well.
Oh, my word.
There's a thing to be said in Bush's defense. Obama keeps on blaming Bush for it, but the last 2 years of Bush's term, all he had was a Democrat House and Senate.
Right.
There wasn't
Pelosi and
anything
Harry
he can do about it. And in his favor, there were some 5 different bills that he tried to put through that would stop the craziness that was going on with Barney Frank, a prominent Democrat and a moral degenerate as well. A fellow that has his view of morals has got very bad judgment in life, and he certainly plunged this country deep into debt, a bunch of unsecured debt mortgages that were bundled up and sold to the banks.
Right.
And who rescued this whole thing from the top? Obama and the guy that, when the banks got in trouble, when the high financiers lost all this money, they didn't have the moral hazard that of years past, when people that took risks paid for them.
Yes.
He took away the pain by countering the losses, and who paid for it? We all did.
The taxpayer.
The citizens paid
Right.
to bail the banks out of bankruptcy. And
Right.
who did that for them? Obama.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's talking about millionaires. He's the guy that bailed the millionaires out with our taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's proposing to come out in another month, when he comes back from his vacation at Martha's Vineyard, to finally have a jobs plan. 3 years into his term.
He's had a jobs plan forever. I mean, he's had so many jobs plans. You know what? When we come back after the break, we are going to talk more with Congressman Joe Walsh.